But when I address the group, it's about how we can be kind to one another, how we can work as a group, as a team, and we rarely ever mention who can score a goal, who can do this, who can make this save.
Hello wonderful people, how's it going? It's Will here, and today I'm so fortunate to have Dave Caicedo with me. He was originally a primary school teacher for over 8 years, but now he's the head coach at Football Fun Factory, which is an amazing organisation that's doing amazing things for young people and their well-being, and using sport as a vehicle that really is sort of helping them find a passion for just enjoying physical activity. And there's so much to talk about that in relation to it. So thank you so much for joining me, Dave.
Oh, thank you for having me, mate. It's a pleasure to be here.
Man, no worries at all. Now, as I say, your background was originally in primary school teaching, and coming as a secondary PE teacher myself. Just first question to you is, were you a generalist teacher or were you a PE teacher?
I was a PE teacher at primary level, but I started as a sports coach. So I was many moons ago now. I was a foundation coach at the Saints Foundation Southampton Football Club, so every football club's got their charity arm. And I used to go into primary schools and deliver the PE lessons when teachers were doing their PPA, all that sort of stuff. And then I moved back to West London and started in a school in Wimbledon as a sports coach, carried on. And then when I got to, when I moved back to West London, then I changed to a school in Heathrow, and there I did my QTS, went down the assessment only route, which was a lot of work getting all my evidence together, but yeah, eventually got there and got my QTS.
Man, it's an impressive journey. Did you always want to teach at that particular age group? Were you ever tempted to go to other age groups?
I did a stint of secondary, and I enjoy primary more. I've got it sounds weird, I've got a thing about fundamental movements and the mechanics. I've always been fascinated by how people move and how you get from A to B, and when you can help children develop, when you've got that foundation phase, you can sort of support them in that early years development. It's just brilliant, and I was fascinated by it and I loved it. So yeah, that's where it sort of came from.
Well, I mean, coming from being a secondary PE teacher, it's great to hear that sort of that's the approach that you want to take, because again, with a lot of experiences as a secondary PE teacher, you get students at year 7 and you can really tell, who's had different experiences of physical activity in primary school. So although obviously there's funding involved in that, and you have specialist coaches and things that come into school, sometimes you come in and you sort of hear that the teachers that they had maybe didn't have a background at all in physical activity, and it's meant that almost it's stunted their ability to make the progress maybe you'd want to see at that next level. So I really resonate with that idea of supporting right from the early age, getting those fundamental movement skills right to allow them then to progress into maybe more generic sports, so like football, basketball and things like that. But I have an endless amount of lessons that I've already begun to learn, and I'm still early in my career through an education-based environment. Did you find that there was anything that you really took away from your time in primary school?
From primary school and working with children, every single child is different. They're all individuals, they're all on their own journey. And one thing that I was really keen on when I was teaching was the cognitive side of things. So not every child is ever going to be able to run very fast. Hopefully they can all run. They'll be able to jump, balance, move well, but some may have a greater understanding and be able to voice that and support others. And that's where you start going down the routes of coaching roles and leadership roles. So for me, it was really important, not only that they learn how to move, but understand how movement works as well. And yeah, that was massive for me. And we saw a lot of progress, and it gives children that confidence as well, because I don't think there's anything wrong with a child knowing maybe I can't jump off one of the boxes, but if I can explain to another child how to do it, maybe when I have more confidence, I develop a little bit later in a year or so, then I can do it. Do you know what I mean?
100%. And as well, it's the influence that can have on their general social skills and their ability to interact with other people is absolutely humongous. And yeah, you can never, underestimate the power of sort of, the cognitive functioning, even within the realm of physical activity, because again, it's something that I really resonate, and we'll come on to this in a little while, is that, within the school environment, you've got this opportunity to almost give them this, an understanding of physical activity, but not necessarily always place, that you have to win in
Yeah.
that environment. But actually, if you're able to understand the process of it and actually understand the benefits of learning these particular
Yeah.
skills, that's when you as the whole individual really start to develop.
No, 100%.
So I mean, it sounds like you were really suited to the PE teaching environment in the primary school setting, and it sounds like you were doing an amazing job. But you obviously then made the decision, I think it was last year or so, that you moved from London area down into Cambridge, and now as I say, you're already now the head coach at the Football Fun Factory. So how did that transition come about, and what made you sort of decide, it's time to maybe move away from primary school teaching?
So my girlfriend and I, our little boy has just turned 1. So
congrats.
Thank you, mate. At the time, my girlfriend fell pregnant, and having a baby, I'm sure people watching this may know, and if you don't, it could be a little heads up for you. They're a lot of work, and if you can get some support, take it. And my parents passed away a few years ago, but my girlfriend's family live in Cambridge, so we thought it'd be a good idea to move closer to them, get some support. And I was looking at various teaching roles, wasn't really thinking of leaving the profession, and then during lockdown, as many people did, I was just on social media having a look, and being a Man United fan, I looked up Luke Chadwick, who is one of the directors at the Football Fun Factory, saw what he was up to, just saw the link to the website, clicked on it, and it just said, if you're interested in a coaching opportunity, send us an email. Sent the email. 4 days later, or about 4 or 5 days later, the process had started about me becoming a head coach. Because it was pretty quick.
Man, that is so cool. I mean, it's also great that you got that connection from Man United as well, just seeing what he's up to. But I mean, again, I've done a fair bit of research into the Football Fun Factory, and again, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that the interactions and the experiences these kids are getting from what you're able to provide is absolutely unbelievable, and actually really so necessary, maybe in sort of the context of maybe the way the world works sometimes. But obviously we're going to dive into this in a lot more detail, but are you able to almost summarize maybe the ethos of what Football Fun Factory is all about?
So what we want to do, we want to break down barriers to participation and give every child the opportunity to participate in football, but also physical activity, regardless of their gender, their ability. And it's one of the best things I've ever been a part of, if not the best, to be fair. It's just seeing the children develop over time and just enjoying being active. Like we have this huge thing about developing the child over the player. So as head coaches, we have, and don't test me on all 12 to 15, but we have some key things of why I am FFF. And the biggest one for me is I've placed more emphasis on developing the child over the player. So we're not too bothered about how many goals you score, how many tackles you make, if your team wins, loses. Of course, we keep that element to it because we're teaching valuable life skills that sometimes you win, you may lose. But that's not the be all and end all. Were you kind to others? Did you cheer your team on? Did you say well done to the other team when they scored? Little things like that, just picking up those little bits here and there to help them develop on their journey.
Man, all I can say is that this just sort of rings back to when we were designing our new curriculum at school, because everything that you've just put forward, it's exactly what I resonate with, and what I think that so many people should be able to get the opportunity of being a part of. Because I mean, as you said, I even got a quote, because I was having a little look through your website and all sorts of bits and bobs, but we believe that when 0.012% of all children that play football go on to become a Premier League professional, then the focus should not be simply on development or progression. We should be focusing on having fun. And that, I think, it applies across so many different physical activities as well. And this is the thing, I absolutely love sport. I am through and through passionate about it, and I would always encourage someone that is passionate about sport to pursue it, do what they can within that particular physical activity. But certainly in the PE context, for so many years, there was this focus on just the elite few. And that sort of led to, them obviously getting a great experience, and, myself included in that, because at the time, still now, I really liked sport. But then there was this whole group of people that actually then grew up to be adults, and then, almost lost this passion for physical activity. Exactly. And with what you're doing, it's so clear that you're building this love and this passion for not just football, but also, you know, just physical activity in general. And sort of maybe in relation to your own passion in football, and what made you decide, you know, I'm going to actually maybe approach the football side of things?
So my dad he was just like that whole like eat, sleep, breathe, like football. He used to take us over the park every Saturday, Sunday, hit some dead balls, all that sort of stuff. And then he wouldn't make me sit and watch football. He's like, you don't watch enough football, come and just watch it with me. And then obviously when you're 8 to 10, anyone will know it's difficult to make an 8 to 10-year-old watch football, but he would try. And then he would talk a lot about football to get me to understand it. And I slowly developed an interest in it. My mum had a part-time cleaning job in like an office. They had a meeting room, there was a whiteboard, and I used to do my own empty team talks, like 12 empty chairs.
Wow.
I used to draw formations up on the board. I've not shared this before, by the way. It's the first time I've shared it.
Man, that's so cool.
Yeah, I used to do like team talks, and then I'd go out, come back in, pretend it was half time, have a go at the empty chairs, do a bit, and then
Let's bring the oranges in.
Cup of tea to throw across the room. We don't do that. But yeah, I used to do all that sort of stuff, and then I went to secondary school. I was captain of the school football team, that sort of stuff. So I think, if I'm honest, during my teenage early years, was more of a narcissistic kind of view of being a captain as a leader. I want to do it, but I did have that urge to help others and kind of lead from the front. And I don't mind being the centre of attention, so I don't mind being at the front and giving information out. But I've always just been fascinated more by the behind the scenes stuff than the actual playing sometimes. So if I've ever been to a show, I'm more fascinated by the band and if I can see anything side stage than the actual stage sometimes. It's like, it's mad. I love and hear this setup. I'm blown away by the lights and the cameras and all that. I love how it all comes together. And I think that's where just that love of, right, so I like watching football. How does it work? How do strategies work? How do formations work? And all that sort of stuff. So I think that's where my love for wanting to lead and coach has come from.
Man, there's some real parallels.
I don't know if I've gone off completely the question you asked.
No, man. You said, you know, where did your love for football come from? And I mean, that has summarised it massively. And it's really interesting that you mention about like the behind the scenes stuff, because I feel exactly the same. And, you know, even for example, no, it's outside of sport, but with this room, you know, I do have this fascination. Okay, well, let's try this or try and do that. And, you know, it's then the same principle in relation to sport, because again, you know, obviously I teach different things, but then you'll do extracurricular and you'll go, okay, so maybe, you know, I know this person can do this, let's try and strategize and do that. But I really just want to touch for a second on your dad's influence, because obviously he was you know, a massive passionate lover of football, and obviously sort of naturally just through sort of age gaps and generations, you know, the experiences that they would have had of, you know, what would be expected or the route that they would take into football obviously would be really sort of competitive, and it's, you know, this high level focus on, okay, my son's going to be like the next thing, even though if your dad didn't necessarily say that. But, you know, how have some of the parents related to, you know, the students that you teach at the Football Fun Factory, what's their perception of the approach that you take using football?
I think it's from the feedback we've had and from general conversations, quite humbling, to be fair, some of the feedback, because they can see what we're trying to do. It's just not about playing football. We rarely mention anything to do with football. So that sounds balmy, but when I address the group, it's about how we can be kind to one another, how we can work as a group, as a team, and we rarely ever mention who can score a goal, who can do this, who can make this save. So the parents, the feedback from them is, well, I'd like to think from what they've said is they like how we're trying to develop their children into, you know, good young people for the community who can go and, you know, have the confidence to do great things.
And, do you know, I think I share similar experiences with how I've come across parents at school who, you know, just classic, you normally just get, okay, well, certainly in the transition evenings from year 6 into year 7, is that they often lead with, okay, well, my son, daughter, whoever really likes football. And that's great. But then it's about, you know, what else do they like? What do they know about themselves? Do they enjoy physical activity in a more general sense? And it's, again, just so great that you're using the sport as the vehicle rather than necessarily the overarching focus of what you're doing, because they'll learn to love football by having those experiences in that anyway.
Definitely.
But yet they're learning so much as an individual that that it's priceless lessons, really.
Yeah.
But one thing that I have seen with everything that you do, and it just throws back, because if I was a kid, I would be losing my mind over this, is that you use loads of different inflatables.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Oh my word. Who made the decisions to get those involved? Because that is, I can just imagine the kids' faces when they come in.
We've talked about, obviously, the Football Fun Factory, but it was founded, sorry if I get this wrong, 2017.
Yeah.
2017, James.
2017.
James Cutting it was his dream child of making football accessible for all and just making it fun and enjoying being active and playing football. And it all came from him. So we've got our inflatable pitch, our inflatable goal, and the inflatable dartboard foot darts that we've got. And it's such a cliche thing, but it's priceless. They walk in. So we've got our football fun camps coming up next week. They'll come into a sports hall. They'll see the pitch, the dartboard, the goal up. We've got a bit of music playing. They walk in and they're just blown away. And the bit that I love is they'll see it, and mum and dad or nan, whoever's dropping them off, is right, see you later. They don't even look at them. They're like, yeah, bye, ta-da. And they run in, get their bag off and straight in. And that's the best sign. I say this about my son a lot. When he gets to that age where he's going to nursery and school, that sort of stuff, I want him to just go, yep, ta-da, straight in and just enjoy himself. And it's nice to know we're creating that for children, those memories to them as well, because hopefully, they leave with a smile on their face, so I'm sure they'll be talking about it for years to come.
Yeah, and one thing that I actually sometimes have to really remind myself is that, obviously when you're older, when you're an adult, you've got loads of things that you're juggling, you've got loads of different things that are on your mind, and sometimes, you're teaching the session, but, you don't get to appreciate fully how much those kids are actually, loving what they're part of. And, it's not until maybe you sometimes get to step back and look at it and go, wow, look at that kid. Last week he would barely, talk to so-and-so or so-and-so. This week he's, wanting to get involved, not even, upset that his parents are leaving and things. So, again, I've seen literally all of your videos. I've seen the structure of it, and again, it's amazing, because as you say, it's just, you can just sense the kids are having fun, and it's amazing that you've created that environment. Speaking specifically of what you actually do within those sessions, what would a typical session look like? Because I know you've got a few variations that you do.
So we've got 3 programs. We've got TOTS Football Fun, Football Fun Development, and the Football Fun Camps. So TOTS Football Fun is for children from 2 to 5 years, and it's the kind of nearest you'd get to football soft play. So we use the inflatable pitch. The children come in, the sessions are 45 minutes long. The children come in and they'll do 15 minutes of free play. So to get used to the environment, be around other children, and just run around, have fun, score some goals. And then we'll do some activities with colours, numbers, jumping, balancing, all those basic fundamental skills and techniques. And then after that, we try and introduce some gameplay, match play. And sometimes it's not an actual match. It could be, for instance, throwing or kicking a ball in a certain direction. To understand directional play, I have to go to a specific place. And then as the children get older in that TOT session, we start to introduce, we don't have a football each. It comes down to 2 or 3 footballs or 1 football. And many people may know 2 to 5-year-olds aren't great at sharing, but that's not a negative. That's just the way we're kind of built as human beings. So it's just sort of learning how to share, how to be around other children. Then Football Fun Development is 5 to 12-year-olds. So they take place during the week, Monday to Friday. The children arrive, they'll do some arrival matches, so straight into matches, straight away, get running around, having some fun. And then we'll do some fun football-based games. And again, nothing too technical, just enjoy it, have fun, play some more matches, another sort of fun session, more matches, blue card presentation, and then home. So it flies by.
Woo! How long are sessions?
1 hour.
1 hour.
And then for the camp, that's a long day. So
Yeah,
to get all the
bet.
inflatables out, we're there very early, but the children arrive between 8:45, 8:30 and 9 o'clock, and then we go till 3:30. We try and do a lot of social games in the morning, in the sense of something as simple as rock, paper, scissors, to use in footballs and other games, just to get the children to meet one another, have a chat. Some of them would never have met before. Some are coming back to a camp. And one thing that we sort of noticed, coming out of lockdown and the way the world is now, some children were a bit more apprehensive, so we want to give them a bit of time to get used to the environment and other people. And then we play some more football and dive around the inflatables for most of the day.
Do you have the inflatables for all of the sessions, or is it just with the camps that they
So
use?
for the camps, we have the inflatables, and for tots, we have the inflatable pitch. And we do birthday parties as well. There's different packages for how many inflatables you want. But yeah, we don't get them out for our weekly sessions, unfortunately.
So I bet that is, I was going to say, as great as they are, I imagine they're an absolute hassle to get up and down. Yeah. But I mean, again, I'm just picturing myself as a young kid, and just the idea of being able to have that experience, that full day long, where it's just all of these different activities, all these different things that are going on. It's amazing. And what actually really rings true with everything you're talking about in terms of the structure as well, is that your background in primary school teaching must have been so helpful, just sort of for your understanding around sort of the early years foundation stage structure, or the model that's in there to support basically the whole child. And a big thing that you've been talking about all the way through this, and then also what's just obvious through the sort of the tasks and things that you're including, is that there is a real focus around developing the whole child, so their well-being and their mental health. So in your perspective, where within your practice or where within your sessions do you see sort of the concept or the discussions around well-being fitting in?
It chops and changes so often, but an example could be our camps are long days, and children obviously get tired, and the more tired sort of children get, sometimes there's a few tears. And one thing I'm a huge sort of advocate of is you can cry, it's okay. Like if a child gets frustrated, I've seen in the past, and when I was 16 and started, the first thing you want is like, stop crying. Like it's a negative, but like, okay, you're upset. Why are you feeling upset? And have that conversation that, it's okay to be upset. Okay, right, how can we make it better? How can we fix it? How can we make you feel better? There'll be times when children, how can I word it? They're not going to be happy in a situation and they're going to vent. And I'm like, okay, you can have your time to vent, that's fine. But I speak to you in a very polite way. Even though you're angry, I'd like you to speak to me in a polite way. And then we can have that dialogue and solve the problem. So we try and let children express themselves as much as possible. Our whole thing is safety over anything else. So we go in safety, fun, development. As long as they're safe, they're having fun, hopefully there'll be some development along the way. And as long as a child is safe, and I've been in schools where some children get very worked up and the adults don't help by telling them to stop or do this. Okay, you want to have 5 minutes? Go down the other end of the sports hall, have a breather, have a drink, chill out, and come and have a conversation. If a child wants to erupt, let them erupt as long as they're safe. Get it out their system and teach them how to kind of manage those emotions. So it can get quite tricky sometimes, but I think we need to let children understand how to deal with their emotions and how to work through them, and how they can. It's not the end of the world to be upset. It's not the end of the world to be angry. It's a normal emotion. As adults, we feel it. If as an adult, as a man, if someone said to me, what are you getting angry for? I was like, I've got every right to be angry. So why do we tell children they don't have the right to? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. I mean, again, I really resonate with what you're saying, with just this idea that emotions are natural. You're not always going to feel exactly the same in relation to every session that you're part of, and being able to instigate those conversations on a really early, that okay, we're gonna deal with this in a grown up and mature way. So, I mean, I suppose my next question to you really about that then is that, can you see the benefit of having experiences inside and outside of school that promote that sort of understanding and that sort of focus?
Yeah, massively, because I have met thousands of children, and I've been in pretty much every sort of situation you could be in with a child, where we'd have runners, and those teachers watching know what runners are. The children who maybe find a situation a bit too tricky and they just want to escape, they want to get out. You have children who will say nothing to you and not tell you how they feel. And sometimes that's fine. If they don't want to tell you how they feel, don't get on at them. They're not going to tell you. So just make sure you keep the environment safe and comfortable and familiar for the child. That's the key thing. But
Yeah, it's definitely about that consistency, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, the consistency, yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know, if they start to learn the patterns of behaviour that's sort of expected of them in multiple areas of their life, then it's much more likely to ring true to them. Because, you know, it's a conversation that I was actually having with some teachers at school the other day, is that basically there was, you know, a group of people playing football on our school AstroTurf, and I don't know, basically the coach themselves were almost sort of screaming and yelling at the kids, and I know that different people are motivated in different ways, but I just always used to find it so interesting that even at that youngest level, you know, you were creating almost a relatively unstable environment. So you were being taught to be in one way in school and potentially at home, or maybe not, depends on the situation, but then also you go into a sporting environment, and then you don't get to feel that same sense of, that consistency of, right, okay, let's try and have a sort of a formalised conversation, but obviously to a student's level, really. Yeah. So with all of that in mind, because again, I'm just so happy that there's outlets for kids to be focusing on these sort of skills. But what do you feel that the kids are getting from your sessions? And again, that can be in relation to really anything. It can be to do with the physical or the mental, really.
They're getting to have fun and be active. Like, we will have children who, and this is, and it may sound disrespectful, and I don't mean it to, they're not great footballers. They're never going to be footballers. They may not even end up playing Sunday league, grassroots football, but they love running around, kicking a ball, having fun with their friends. They have every right to do that. Like, you don't have to, like, I play guitar and I am awful, but I love playing my guitar. No one will ever say, oh, what are you doing? Why are you playing it? And I think there's this stigma with sport is, if you're not good at it, why are you playing it? Like, who cares? Like, they want to do it, they enjoy it, let them go and do it. And I think that's the main thing. And once they've got the confidence to try something, the thing that I love hearing is, my child, we're going to try this club now because they've got the confidence from your sessions. And sometimes that's, sorry, we're going to have to stop coming to your session to go somewhere else. I'm like, the fact your child's got the confidence to say to you, I want to try this, I've done my job. You know, I might, you know, we're always going to have children come along. You'd hope so anyway. But if a child can get that confidence to try something new, and you get other things as well where children who may never speak to anyone will go up to another child and go, hi, what's your name? I'm so-and-so, and you're like, okay, they've actually gone and spoken to someone else. And that's massive.
Well, I know multiple adults that wouldn't even think about but you know, the willingness to go up to somebody and say, hey, how's it going? My name is so-and-so.
Oh, you just pick that, but that's the thing as well. People think you're like a weirdo. Like, I know that's not politically correct to say that, but
I know, but it's literally the role reversal, isn't it?
We tell kids, go say hello. Like, sometimes and I've seen this before, go say hello to them. They're like, no, I don't want to know, go say hello. Imagine if a kid went to you at a barbecue, you didn't know people, go say hello to them. You're like, no, well, I don't know, come on, go say hello. When you flip it around, I think I always say you shouldn't treat children as adults because they're children and there's boundaries to set and this and that, but
100%.
Treat them respectfully, how you would want to be treated. And I've learnt this, actually, weirdly enough, swimming, because obviously, you know, we were swimming this morning.
Yeah.
There's a phrase they use where you say your child's name, are you ready, go, if you're going to pour water on their head or you go underwater with them. And if they give you a signal for no, don't do it, because that's them telling you they don't want to do it. But if you're an adult and you said no and someone threw you underwater, you would be raging. You'd find it disrespectful. So I think it's just having that respectful boundary with children. And I witnessed a lot when I was teaching. A child would want to give their point of view and a teacher would go, nope, haven't got time. And it's like, hold on, if someone did that to you, you wouldn't like it. So yes, they are children. There are boundaries in place, and you are, you know, when you're teaching, you are in charge or in control of that time, looking after the child. But the respect needs to be both ways. Yeah, I mean, with the school environment, because I'm a big fan of everything that you're pushing here, because anytime I have a conversation with a student, and you're right, it's that, you know, you are the adult in that situation, they are the child, so you need to remember that, but you need
find this sort of mutual respect. So, you know, whenever maybe a child hasn't got something quite right, I will always end the conversation when I've, you know, when we've talked it out, at least, is that at any point have I been unreasonable or unfair? Yeah. Because it then gives them that opportunity to go, okay, well, actually, I think this is unfair or whatever. But and that's the thing, is if you hold a sort of basically a moral standpoint, and you know, you're justifiable and you're willing to say sorry when you get it wrong.
Yeah.
You know, quite often, well, I could maybe count on one hand over 5 years a student going to me, I think you're being unreasonable or unfair. And that in the long run helps to develop your relationship, but it also then allows them to take that over into other aspects of their life and have a massive impact.
You'd hope they could have those conversations elsewhere. Like, I'm a huge believer in restorative practice. Yeah. So for those who wouldn't know what it is, and sorry if you're telling you to suck eggs, but for instance, it's where you flip it on another person. So how would you feel if someone spoke to you like that? How would you feel if, say you had your footballs and I kicked it away when you asked me to bring it in? You'd be a bit sad, wouldn't you? And then you get them to understand that, and they realise that you're not being unreasonable, you're just making them see it from another point of view. And that's been key to me to building those relationships with the children. Little things as we bring them in, they're excited, okay, eyes on me. And then if they're talking when I'm talking, they're children, they're going to do it. But if it's a key point I want them to understand for the game, well, guys, if you were talking, how would you feel if I spoke over you? Not great. Okay, cool. Listen to me very quickly, then you can have your chat, and that helps build that relationship.
I've seen as well you do. I was going back through all of your posts, and sometimes you use drinks breaks as like an opportunity to basically impart some additional life skills. So I know we've covered quite a lot really, but I don't know if there's any other specific examples of what you've used that time for.
Yeah, one could be as simple as, if someone falls down in front of you while we're playing, what could we do? And then things like stop the game, check they're okay. I was like, so do we step over them? No. Okay, we help them out. Other things, someone in your team's trying really hard, but they missed the ball. What could we do to make them feel better? What can you do when someone else scores? Or just anything. Someone's struggling with a bib, what can we do? And it's just giving them, kind of empowering them to kind of support one another and help one another, and hopefully that all comes together.
And that's the thing, is it's being used again as the sport is the vehicle, because you know everything that you're saying there and things that you're encouraging in the game is that then it actually comes back to just a number of other life skills that massively. You know just will impact the way they treat others, the way they treat themselves, and the way they engage in different activities. So I mean, from my perspective here, is that the Football Fun Factory, I think is on a pretty amazing trajectory. I think the message and the ethos that you guys have is absolutely outstanding, and I think, you know, we need more of that. It's not, again, and it's not that, you know, competition is bad or that it needs to be avoided, but I think for more people to be physically active for longer, they need to have those experiences where it is more about the fun rather than having to become this sort of, you know, elite performer, so to speak. And again, that would they're only pathways, you know, it will create those other experiences. But from your perspective then, because I know that it's quite it's a growing company. I mean, there's places all around the country, but you know, I think I read somewhere that the goal is to be sort of the leading football coaching company in the country, maybe even the world.
The world. So a lot of people might roll their eyes and think, where are they going? But we want to bring football to every single. We want to bring football fun to every single child's doorstep where possible, because, you know, if we can get families enjoying physical activity, because it's not just about the child. We actively encourage parents to stay and watch. And, you know, sometimes while we're talking to the children, a joke might drop in that goes over their heads and it's for the parents, so they get the enjoyment as well. We commentate during their games. Sometimes you get a child talking to their parent, it'll hit their legs and they save it. Oh, what a save, eyes in the back of their head. You'd be a great teacher. And it's just a great atmosphere, and we want the families to enjoy it and enjoy the whole process of their child developing when they're with us. Oh
man, it's great. And what I would recommend as well is go and have a little look on, I think it's on the Football Fun Factory Instagram, and I forgot what his name is, but it's like Kenny commentates, or it's...
Oh, Jordan.
Oh yeah, so there's just these amazing things where members of the Football Fun Factory are commentating over all these different things that happen in the session, and honestly, Jordan, great work, man. That was cracking me up the other day.
So it's our Tots Football Fun session. So during those sessions, you'll find that we put cones out. Second it's out, it becomes a hat, or there's an orange cone going out. Now I'm kicking it instead. Dave's asked me to put it in that goal. I'm going to go down that end. And Jordan, on his because we've all got our own social media pages, has done some fantastic commentary on in the Olympics that he does with his daughter at home. She's had door shutting contests, potato throwing, box climbing, all that sort of stuff, and he's brilliant. So why not do it for Tots Football Fun and add that little bit of magic dust on top of that? So yeah, it's brilliant so far. And we only just launched as such last week, so I can't wait to see the rest of it, to be fair.
Yeah, well, again, as I say, I think that the trajectory is only going to be a positive one for Football Fun Factory. But, on a personal note for your own level, what do you think is sort of the, another little bit that you would like to see added to the Football Fun Factory experience that will just take it to that next level?
I think the way we do it, you can always improve and do things better, but I think the way we do it works. We're making that positive impact, and it's just making sure we still get the right people coming in, because, which I'm sure you've met with teachers and coaches in the past, you could have every license, every badge, but if you're not the right person, it's not going to work. So it's just still making sure we maintain those high standards. We continue to put the child first and their development, and just keep kicking on as we are, as I'm sure we'll continue to grow as we are. It's going to be, get the seatbelt on, mate. It's going to be a wild one.
Oh man, well, this is the thing, is that I only came across you probably in the last 2 or 3 months, but now I'm sort of routinely seeing what you guys are up to, just because I really resonate with what you're doing with physical activity and what that does for young people. And again, just through everything I've heard today, it's just so amazing that I know that young kids are getting experiences that are going to help them to develop into well-rounded individuals. Because sometimes, unfortunately, you see different aspects of practice that doesn't promote that. But you guys are really doing an amazing job. So thank you so much for joining me today, Dave. It's been really good. And if you want to get involved, or if you want to just see a little bit more from what Dave's doing, you can either follow the general Instagram page, which is Football Fun Factory, or your particular one, which we've got a little graphic that we'll put at the bottom.
I'll never remember it, so we'll have to put the graphic on.
I must admit, I can't even remember what it was like. There's a few things to it, but it's going to be in the graphic. And if you want to see any more videos like this, then again, follow us on Serotonin Sessions, or you can have a little look on our YouTube channel to see our other conversations. But again, Dave, thank you so much.
Cheers, mate.
And see you later on.